The old warship drifts near the red dwarf star, like a giant asleep in the dark, its body cracked, its armor blackened by time. Yet the core still beats slow and strong like a heart waiting for the return of its own. Zira brings her ship closer. Eyes fixed on the faded letters across the hull. Valor 2, a name spoken like a memory, now rising again into the light wrecks. Stands behind her, weak but steady, wrapped in bandages and fire, his eyes locked on the warship, as if looking at an old friend. Lost in battle, now reaching out with one last breath, Zira opens the link and the docking system responds with a soft pulse. Ancient code meets ancient code, and the doors unlock with a sound like thunder wrapped in a whisper. They step aboard slowly. The air inside thick with age and dust, yet the systems begin to blink. One by one lights flicker, panels glow, engines hum with a voice older than any on board, as if the ship remembers what it was, what it once protected, and what it now must rise to defend again. Zira walks through the halls, her boots echoing on metal floors, covered in signs of war. Burn marks, blast doors, broken turrets, and shattered glass. Yet beneath all the ruin, something holds, something waits. The ship is not dead, it is only sleeping. Rex opens a panel near the command bridge, inserts a chip worn from time, marked with a symbol only a few still remember, and the ship answers. A voice fills the room, not cold, not robotic, but warm, like the voice of someone who has seen stars live and die, and still hopes to see one more dawn. Identity confirmed. Welcome. Commander initiating system recovery protocol. Zira watches as the screens come to life, one by one. Maps of old sectors, star routes forgotten by time, names of lost ships flickering into place. This is not just a ship, it is a vault, a library, a weapon forged in the heart of a dying war, now reborn in silence. Crew spreads out, checking systems, helping repair what they can, patching wires, rerouting power. Every touch bringing the ship closer to what it once was, to what it must be again. Zira returns to the main console, scans the sectors near the moon, near the council's reach, and what she sees sends cold fire through her blood. A fleet not small, not scouting, but full-scale warships, carriers, destroyers, moving fast, moving together, heading toward her world, not for defense, but for silence. They mean to erase the truth, to burn the last light before it spreads. She turns to Rex, her voice sharp with fire. They are going to destroy everything, the humans, the ship, the memory, all of it. Rex nods slowly, then says, not if we stand first. They send a signal to the council, not with fear, not with plea, but with truth. Zira's voice carries across the stars, clear and strong. This is Zira speaking from Valor 2. I have seen what you tried to bury. I have walked with those you called monsters and found people. I have touched the past, and now I speak for the future. The signal echoes and silence follows. No reply. Not yet, only motion. The fleet changes course. Now coming faster, now burning brighter. Zira and Rex prepare not for escape, but for fire. The ship charges. Weapons, shields, engines, all running on power, older than laws, older than lies, running on the will of those who never gave up. The crew take stations, not as soldiers, but as witnesses of truth, ready to burn. If it means the stars will see the light again. The fleet arrives with thunder and silence. Hundreds of ships blocking the sky around the old warship like wolves, circling a wounded lion. Zira stands at the center of the bridge, her hand on the final switch, her eyes on the stars. Speaks once more to her, to the crew, to the universe. If we fall today, then let our fire be the voice that wakes the dead. Let our story burn brighter than the lie. They wait. The enemy moves closer, weapons armed, silence thick enough to hold breath. Then, without warning, something changes. A signal appears, not from the fleet, not from the council, but from beyond. Thousands of ships, old and new, hidden and wandering now, rising from dark space. Humans from the edges of history, survivors, builders, warriors, explorers. Their signal strong, their message clear. We are here and we remember. The council fleet pauses, hesitates, shaken by the storm of voices, by the truth they cannot erase, by the fire they thought was gone. Zira smiles, not with pride, but with peace. She steps back, lets the universe breathe, and the old ship roars, not with rage, but with life. No battle begins, no weapons fire, only silence. Then retreat the council ships, turning slowly like shadows at sunrise. The stars open again wide and waiting. Zira looks to Rex and he looks to her, and in that quiet moment, the truth becomes louder than any warhumans. Never die not in the way the stars understand, not while one heart still remembers, not while one voice still dares to speak, and now their story begins again. Zira walks through the quiet hallways of the night station, her boots making soft sounds. On the cold floor, her mind still echoes with the human voice that spoke through her screen. The voice of Commander Rex still rings in her ears. Heavy with need, heavy with truth, she knows the Council will soon detect the strange signal, but she also knows they will not believe it. They never do, because for them humans are nothing but dust and legend and lies. She enters the archive room using a stolen key chip from an old officer who never noticed it, missing a place filled with forgotten files. Dusty logs and damaged records, sealed by law, sealed by fear. She searches through the shelves, her fingers run across old metal boxes and cracked screens, looking for any trace of the ancient species. The species her people fear and hide from even. In memory, her heart beats faster when she finds a black case with the old red symbol, the symbol of danger and war, the symbol of the humans. A red circle broken by a bolt, a warning sign she saw only once in a secret book. She opens it slowly, and inside are old image files and video logs and voice notes, all locked behind security walls older than her birth. She connects her private decoder, and the files start to come alive one by one. First image shows a group of humans standing on metal ground, wearing armor and fire in their eyes. No fear, no surrender, just purpose, just will. She watches old war footage, humans fighting not with power, but with rage and unity, standing strong against larger enemies, laughing in the face of pain, pushing forward. Even when all odds were against them, she watches them build cities on empty rocks, turn deserts into farms, shape moons with machines and fire, and then she watches the fall. The silence that came after the final war, when they vanished like smoke. In the stars, Zira feels something strange, something deep and painful, a pull like a memory that does not belong to her, but still lives inside her chest. She whispers softly, they were real, and they were strong, and maybe they were not monsters at all. Maybe they were something more, something forgotten, something alive. Her door chimes and she freezes. The lights blink, once, twice, a signal from her closest friend Leora. A technician like her, loyal and kind, but never curious. Zira opens the door, and Leora steps in with worry in her eyes and tension in her voice. Missed the meeting. The Council noticed something in your sector, and they are watching now. What are you doing, Zira? This is dangerous. This is beyond dangerous. This is death. Zira tells her part of the truth, that she found something strange, maybe a lost ship, maybe just debris, that she is checking. Nothing more, nothing serious, just a small error in the system. Leora knows her better than that, and her eyes narrow with fear, not anger, not hate, just fear. She says, do not go too far, Zira. They erase people for less. Do not chase myths. Do not look at the old fire. Then she leaves, and Zira stands alone again, holding the old truth in her hands, unsure of who to trust, unsure of what will come. She returns to her console and sends a signal back into space, short and simple, meant only for human ears. This is Zira. I am here. I am listening. She waits in silence, her breath shallow, her eyes locked on the screen, and then the reply comes. Low and broken, but clear. This is Commander Rex. Our ship is damaged. We have no power. Our food is low. Oxygen is thin, but we are alive. We believe no one would hear us. We believed your kind erased us long ago, but you are not like them. Zira types quickly, asking where they are, what they need, how long they have. He replies with broken coordinates near the old moon, near the dark side where scanners fail and shadows hide. She looks around, knowing she cannot ask for help, cannot bring this to the Council, because they will shoot first and bury the truth second. She decides to mask the human signal using old smuggler code, a trick she learned from listening to pirates on broken channels late at night. When no one watched, she bends the rules. She hides the ship under a false name, a ghost drone, a lost miner tool, something no one will care to check, but the stress shows on her face, her hands Tremble, her eyes burn from hours of staring at lies and truth fighting inside her. The signal grows weaker. With time the humans are slipping, and she knows she must act soon before the myth dies again, before this last light goes. Dark, she saves the data packs, her gear hides her notes, and steps out into the cold hallway again. Her choice made her fear. Behind her, the stars above do not speak, they only shine watching her path. As she walks towards something ancient, something forbidden, something true, Zira has crossed the line, and now there is no going back. Zira hides in the empty cargo bay of the East Wing, where no one goes anymore, where silence sleeps in every corner and shadows move like whispers across the walls. She holds a small device in her hands, cracked and old, but powerful enough to connect with forbidden channels that stretch through dark space like threads of hidden truth. She switches it on, and the signal returns, weak but alive. The voice of Commander Rex comes, again slow and tired, like someone holding breath underwater. For too long we are losing systems life support, dropping, our people are weak, our fire is fading. Zira hears pain in his voice, but not fear. He speaks like someone who has known death before, who has looked into the dark and did not blink. She sends him a message, soft and quick. Do not give up, I will come to you. I do not know how, but I will. Rex answers with words full of silence between them. We did not think anyone would hear us. You are the first. You are different. Zira wants to ask many things. Where did they come from? How did they survive? Why did they return now? But time is short, and the walls around her are thin and full of ears. Ends the call, and hides the device behind a broken crate. Then she walks to the engineering wing, her steps slow, her thoughts heavy inside. She finds Leora again. Her friend is sitting near a coolant pipe, fixing a leak with tools that spark and burn. Zira watches her for a moment, then walks forward, trying to speak normal, trying to sound like nothing is wrong. Leora looks up and gives a small nod, then her eyes narrow as she notices the way Zira's hands keep moving, the way her breath is not calm. What are you hiding, Zira? Zira says nothing, just shakes her head and turns away, but Leora stands up and grabs her arm. You are chasing something they told us not to touch. Zira does not answer, not with words, only with eyes full of fire and fear. And Leora lets go slowly. They are real. Leora, they are Leora steps back, her face pale, her voice like broken glass. You contacted them, you spoke to them. Zira nods, and in that small motion, the truth spills like water down stone. Leora says you must stop. If the council finds out, they will erase your name, they will erase your blood, your memory, your dreams. Zira says then let them. I would rather vanish than live in lies. She turns and leaves, not seeing the way. Leora stares after her, not knowing if her friend will stay silent or shout to the skies later that night. Zira returns to the radar room and watches the stars through the large screen outside. Nothing moves, yet everything feels alive. The sky seems different, now filled with something deep and old. Signal comes again, weaker now, barely a breath, and she answers quickly, you must hold on, help is not far, I promise. Rex replies with something new, not just words but data. A small burst of memory, a shared file wrapped in human code. Zira opens it, and her screen fills with light and sound. Old recordings from Earth, green forests, blue oceans, tall cities with towers of glass, and people laughing, running, building, dreaming. She sees children playing with machines, elders sitting under metal trees, voices singing songs in a language she cannot speak but somehow understands. Then she sees fire cities, falling warships in the sky, metal rain burning through clouds, screams and silence mixed together. She sees a small ship flying away through the flames, carrying hope in its heart. This is who we were, Rex says, and maybe who we still are. Zira sits in the dark, her hands still, her eyes wet. She feels something inside her change, not with fear, not with duty, but with something warmer. She says you still have light inside you, and I will not let it die. Suddenly, the screen flashes red, an alert, silent and sharp. A tracking signal has been activated. Someone is watching her channel, someone from the command core. She shuts everything down, throws the wires, hides the files, her heart racing, her breath sharp. She runs back to her room, closes the door, locks the system, and stares at the wall where an old drawing hangs. A sketch she made of a creature from the myths with fire in its eyes and stars in its hand. Now she knows it was not just a story, it was a message from the past, calling her towards something greater. A soft chime echoes in her room, a new message from Rex, only one line. Will come for us soon, and we cannot run much longer. Zira types one line back. That I will come to you before they do. She grabs her travel pack, fills it with tools, rations, maps, and the old book she once found in the hidden room. A book that told of humans not as monsters, but as makers. As she steps into the hallway, the lights flicker above her, and alarms start to hum in the distance. Azira does not stop. Her path is clear, and her fire is awake. She walks into the dark with voices in her mind and stars in her blood. Zira moves through the lower tunnels of the station, where the lights are weak and the air smells of rust and dust, where secrets hide behind every pipe and every panel. Her fingers grip the stolen access card, tighter than before. Her breath slow but sharp with every step. She reaches the old launch bay, locked and unused since the mining ships were grounded. It is here she plans to leave, quietly, without alarm, without trace. She hacks the control panel using old code stolen from an abandoned drone bay. Her hands quick, her mind clear. Door opens slowly, and she slips inside, surrounded by forgotten metal shells. Empty ships covered in years of silence and broken memories. She selects one small, fast, quiet, a patrol-class flyer built for speed, not war, just enough for her, and maybe a broken human if she finds him alive. As she starts the warm-up cycle, the lights flicker, and a voice behind her speaks, not loud, not soft, but heavy with something sharp. You are really going to do this? Zira turns and sees Leora standing at the doorway, eyes full of storm, face cold like the air before lightning. Zira says, I must. They need me. I cannot let them. Leora steps closer, her voice rising with fear, not anger. You will bring them here to us, to our world, to our people, after what they did, after what they are. Zira shakes her head. You do not understand. They are not what we were told. They are not shadows. They are not monsters. They are just people, just broken people like you. Lea's voice cracks. And you think they will thank you. You think the council will forgive this. You think I can let you do this. Zira hears it in her voice, the sadness, the loss, the betrayal, not just of law but of friendship, of trust. You reported. Meliora looks away just for a moment, just long enough to say, I had to. You are chasing ghosts, Zira, and ghosts should stay buried. Zira's hands move fast. She triggers a pulse from her wristband, sending a shockwave through the panel behind Leora, enough to knock the air out of the room without harm, without hate. She runs past her, grabs the flyer door, slams shut. Engines fire to life. Alarms begin to scream across the station. She breaks through the bay gate just as the lockdown begins, spinning through the black sky with only the stars to guide her, and the truth in her chest like fire. Behind her the station glows with lights and chaos. Sirens echo into the void, but no one follows, not yet, not fast enough. She opens the hidden signal again, calls out through the dark, Commander Rex. I am coming, hold on just a little longer. His voice returns, slow, tired, fading. We will try, but we are out of time. Zira, they have found us. We are locked near your moon. Fuel gone, systems frozen. We are dying in silence. Checks her course, pulls the engines harder, burns through space with a ship not made for rescue, not made for hero stories, only for quiet patrols and empty duty. She crosses the orbit line of the dead moon, sees the black shape of the human ship, broken and bent like a wingless bird caught in old gravity, its lights blinking, slow like the heartbeat of someone dreaming. She docks fast, no greeting, no pause, cuts through the airlock and steps inside into a world of shadows and dust. Air is thin, the light red, the hallway silent, except for a low hum, a dying breath of machines still trying to live. She walks through broken halls, past fallen beams, past wires that swing like vines in a jungle, past signs in human script, faded but proud. Then she sees him, Commander Rex, tall, even while weak, eyes sharp, even while tired, face marked by years, but full of something strong. You really came? I said I would. He smiles, not big, not bold, but real, the kind that says thank you without sound. She moves to help him, lifts his arm over her shoulder, starts walking back toward the flyer. Other humans watch from corners, some too weak to move, some still full of fight, all silent, all watching her, like she is not real, like she is another myth walking through their last hours. They reach the dock just as her ship starts to lose power. The station has traced her path, is sending blockers, is trying to pull her back. Zira loads the wounded first, then the files, then the captain last. The door closes just as the drag pulse hits the outer hull. She fires the engines one last time, using the boost pack hidden in the cargo deck, and the ship screams forward, breaking free, just barely, sparks flying, systems blinking. Behind them, the old human ship explodes, not from battle, but from choice, its core overloaded by Rex's order to hide the last of their tech from the enemy. Zyra stares at the screen as the light fades, knowing she has lost one ship to save another. She turns to Rex, his breath slow, his voice soft. "Why did you come for us, Zyra? Why risk everything?" She looks at him and says, "Because you are not a myth, not anymore." The small ship drifts through empty space with flickering lights and tired engines, carrying Zyra and the last breath of a lost world behind them. The stars feel closer and colder, the silence heavier than before, not the silence of peace, but the silence that follows fire. Zyra moves through the narrow hallway of the ship, past wires and cracked panels, past humans who look at her like a dream they never expected to see again, some too weak to speak, some still alert, but quiet, all carrying the same question in their eyes. Why did she come? She enters the main cabin, where Rex sits near a broken console, breathing slowly, wrapped in blankets, stained with oil and dust, his eyes open when she steps in, sharp and tired, still burning with something deep. She says, "You need rest," and he nods, but does not move. Instead, he reaches into a metal case beside him and pulls out a small device, old and scratch-shaped, like a cube with edges worn by time. "This," he says, "is the last archive of our home." Zyra watches as he presses aside, and the cube lights up, filling the cabin with moving images. Not sharp, not clean, but real. She sees Earth for the first time, not in stories or stolen pictures, but alive, green fields, wide oceans, tall mountain cities, with lights like stars on the ground. People laughing, people dancing, people building with fire in their hands and hope in their hearts. Watches families walking through gardens, children running between machines, and music floating in the air from glowing walls with faces full of joy and wonder. Then the images shift and the skies grow dark. War machines rise from oceans and fire falls from the sky. Cities crumble under storm and steel voices scream through smoke and red clouds. She sees the end not as a single moment, but as a long fading echo, as people flee in ships, as the blue planet burns slowly, as the stars become the only place left to dream. Zyra feels her chest tighten, her breath caught between sorrow and awe. Rex turns to her and says, "We did not vanish by choice. We were broken and scattered, hunted by fear, hated by those who saw what we could become. We survived not to fight, but to remember." She whispers, "You were not the monsters they told us about." He nods and says, "We were not perfect. We were angry and proud and sometimes cruel, but we never stopped dreaming, and we never stopped protecting what we loved." Zyra looks down at her hands, the same hands that once obeyed the rules, that once believed the stories that painted his kind as shadows and beasts. Now those hands had reached across stars to pull truth from silence. Asks, "What happens now? What do we do with this truth?" Rex closes the cube and says, "We live, we tell, we build again, if we can." Suddenly, the screen above them flashes with a red signal warning, pulses through the ship. A drone swarm is approaching, fast and silent, marked with the crest of the High Council, their weapons locked and ready. Zyra runs to the pilot deck, her fingers fly across the controls, trying to twist the ship away, but the damage is too deep, the engines too cold, the path too narrow. "We cannot run," she says. "Not now." Rex steps beside her, places a hand on the console, and opens a hidden channel, a code buried in the ship's old memory, something from before, something powerful, an ancient human defense system still sleeping in the heart of the ship, now awake and angry. Says this ship was once a guardian before it was a lifeboat, and it still remembers how to fight Zira. Hesitates, but he nods, and she triggers the command. The walls shift with the low-grown panels rise weapons. Unfold light burns through the cracks as the ship becomes something else. Something older, something made for war. The drones reach them, and the sky turns. Wild beams flash across the dark. Explosions bloom. Like metal flowers, engines scream as the old ship fights like a wounded lion with teeth made of fire. Zira holds the controls steady. Rex stands beside her, not moving, not blinking as their ship spins and dives through the storm, every shot, every turn guided by memory, and will then silence again, the last drone falling into nothing, the ship shaking, but still holding, still alive. Zira leans back, her breath heavy, her body shaking, her eyes wet. Rex places a hand on her shoulder and says, "You have the fire too, you just did not know it yet." She looks at him and sees not a soldier, not a legend, just a man holding the last spark of something too strong to die. In that moment she understands. This was never about saving the past, it was about lighting a path forward. She whispers thank you, and he replies not with words, but with a tired smile that says everything. Asterisk. The old human ship drifts through the shadows between forgotten stars, its hull cracked but still breathing fire, its core weak but still burning with ancient rage. Zira stands at the front window, watching the stars move slowly like eyes that never blink. Her hands tight on the rail, her mind heavy with everything she has. Seeing behind her, the humans rest, some sleeping, some injured, some whispering in low voices that sound like music filled with pain and hope together. Rex sits near the power core, trying to stabilize the energy flow, his body weak, but his spirit refusing to fall. Zira steps beside him, offers a small ration bar, and he accepts with a nod, not saying thank you, not needing to, because some words are better felt than spoken. She says the swarm was only the first wave, the council will send more. They never forgive, they never forget. Rex leans back against the wall, his eyes closed for a moment. Then he opens them and says, then we move, we hide, we fight, if we must, but we do not stop. Zira returns to the control deck, checks the scanners, and sees something that freezes her breath in her chest, a beacon blinking in deep space far ahead. Too far to be a normal patrol, and moving in a pattern that speaks of death. A war cruiser from the Council, heavy class, armed with enough power to shatter a moon, and heading straight for them. She calls out to Rex, her voice steady but cold with fear. He comes quickly, reads the data, and says, we cannot face them, not like this. Zira nods and says, then we run, but not straight, we go through the shard field. Rex looks at her like she has lost her mind, then he smiles and says, bold, I like it. The shard field is a broken sector filled with debris from an old battle, long forgotten, sharp rocks and dead machines spinning like blades in the dark. No ship enters without risk, no one sane tries to cross it. But Zira is not looking for safety, she is looking for time. She turns the ship and the engines cry out from the strain, but they hold just enough for one last push into madness. The stars vanish as the field swallows. The metal and stone swirl around the ship like angry ghosts, every second a breath away from death, every turn a dance with fire. Zira moves the ship like a part of her body, each motion smooth and fast, each choice a silent prayer. Rex feeds power to the shields, rerouting every line, every wire, keeping the heart alive with his bare hands. Crew braces in silence, trusting the stranger who became their only hope. Massive shard cuts across the left wing, and sparks fly. The ship rolls sideways, scraping against a broken satellite that once carried dreams and now only carries dust. Zira adjusts the course, dives lower into the chaos where even scanners fail, where only instinct can guide. Then behind them the council cruiser tries to follow, but its size becomes its curse, slow and proud. It cannot dance through the ruins like Zira's ship can. It takes one wrong turn and crashes into an old reactor core, the explosion shaking the field. Like a storm of light, Zira does not look back. She flies forward through the smoke, through the screaming metal, until at last the darkness opens and the stars return quiet and wide, like the sky has been holding its breath. The ship floats again in open Space wounded but alive, Rex collapses near the coma. Console blood on his handbreath. Shallow Zero rushes to him, calls for aid, and 2 crew members carry him gently to the med chamber. She follows, sits beside him while the machine hums and glows, working to heal what it can. He opens his eyes and says, "You are more human than some I have known." Zara laughs once soft and says, "Maybe I was born in the wrong stars." Reaches out, and she takes his hand, not as an alien, not as a savior, but as something older than both, something that remembers what it means to trust. Outside the window, a signal begins to flash on the edge of the scanner. Not a warning, not a weapon, but a beacon of origin. An old human warship still intact, floating near a red dwarf star, its power low but steady, its name barely readable through time but still shining like a promise. Azira reads it slowly. Valor 2X. Hears the name and his eyes widen. "That was our sister ship, lost before the last battle. We thought it was gone." Zira looks at him and says, "Maybe it waited, maybe it knew we would come." The humans gather at the window, watching the shape grow clearer, filled with silence, filled with memory. Zira takes the controls once more, her path clear, her heart full of light. They fly toward the forgotten ship, not as ghosts, not as myths, but as survivors ready to awaken what was left behind. The old warship drifts near the red dwarf star, like a giant asleep in the dark, its body cracked, its armor blackened by time. Yet the core still beats slow and strong, like a heart waiting for the return of its own. Zira brings her ship closer, eyes fixed on the faded letters across the hull. Valor 2, a name spoken like a memory, now rising again into the light. Rex stands behind her, weak but steady, wrapped in bandages and fire, his eyes locked on the warship, as if looking at an old friend lost in battle, now reaching out with one last breath. Zira opens the link, and the docking system responds with a soft pulse. Ancient code meets ancient code, and the doors unlock with a sound like thunder, wrapped in a whisper. They step aboard slowly, the air inside thick with age and dust, yet the systems begin to blink. One lights flicker, panels glow, engines hum with a voice older than any on board, as if the ship remembers what it was, what it once protected, and what it now must rise to defend again. Zira walks through the halls, her boots echoing on metal floors, covered in signs of war. Burn marks blast doors, broken turrets, and shattered glass. Yet beneath all the ruin, something holds, something waits. The ship is not dead, it is only sleeping. Rex opens a panel near the command bridge, inserts a chip worn from time, marked with a symbol only a few still remember, and the ship answers. A voice fills the room, not cold, not robotic, but warm, like the voice of someone who has seen stars live and die, and still hopes to see one more dawn. Identity confirmed. Welcome. Commander initiating system recovery protocol. Zira watches as the screens come to life one by one. Maps of old sectors, star routes forgotten by time, names of lost ships flickering into place. This is not just a ship, it is a vault, a library, a weapon forged in the heart of a dying war, now reborn in silence. Crew spreads out, checking systems, helping repair what they can, patching wires, rerouting power. Every touch bringing the ship closer to what it once was, to what it must be again. Zira returns to the main console, scans the sectors near the moon, near the Council's reach, and what she sees sends cold fire through her blood. A fleet not small, not scouting, but full-scale warships, carriers, destroyers, moving fast, moving together, heading toward her world, not for defense, but for silence. They mean to erase the truth, to burn the last light before it spreads. She turns to Rex, her voice sharp with fire. "They are going to destroy everything, the humans, the ship, the memory, all of it." Rex nods slowly, then says, "Not if we stand first. Send a signal to the Council, not with fear, not with plea, but with truth." Zira's voice carries across the stars, clear and strong. This is Zira speaking from Valor 2. "I have seen what you tried to bury. I have walked with those you called monsters, and found people. I have touched the past, and now I speak for the future." The signal echoes, and silence follows. No reply. Not yet, only motion. The fleet changes course, now coming faster, now burning brighter. Zira and Rex prepare not for escape, but for fire. The ship charges, Weapons, shields, engines, all running on power, older than laws, older than lies, running on the will of those who never gave up. The crew take stations not as soldiers, but as witnesses of truth ready to burn. If it means the stars will see the light again, the fleet arrives with thunder and silence. Hundreds of ships blocking the sky around the old warship like wolves, circling a wounded lion. Zyra stands at the center of the bridge, her hand on the final switch, her eyes on the stars. Rex speaks once more to her, to the crew, to the universe. If we fall today, then let our fire be the voice that wakes the dead. Let our story burn brighter than the lie. They wait, the enemy moves closer, weapons armed, silence thick enough to hold breath. Then, without warning, something changes. A signal appears, not from the fleet, not from the council, but from beyond. Thousands of ships, old and new, hidden and wandering, now rising from dark space. Humans, from the edges of history, survivors, builders, warriors, explorers, their signal strong, their message clear. We are here, and we remember. The council fleet pauses, hesitates, shaken by the storm of voices, by the truth they cannot erase, by the fire they thought was gone. Zyra smiles, not with pride, but with peace. She steps back, lets the universe breathe, and the old ship roars, not with rage, but with life. No battle begins, no weapons fire, only silence. Then retreat the council ships, turning slowly like shadows at sunrise. The stars open again, wide and waiting. Zyra looks to Rex, and he looks to her, and in that quiet moment, the truth becomes louder than any war. Humans never die, not in the way the stars understand, not while one heart still remembers, not while one voice still dares to speak. And now their story begins again.